Spicy Sports Show with Sam Cerrone. I'm your host, Sam Cerrone. Thanks again for listening. Coming to you live from Gaithersburg, Maryland. We're at the Magic. Not really. It was fantastic. Normally I do my shows, before I get started, normally I do my shows on Sunday night. But I'm doing mine tonight because I had a wonderful time this weekend. It was absolutely fantastic. Just hanging out with my roommates. I was up at my roommate Zach's house this weekend, and it was phenomenal just to hang out with them and see them one more time. I enjoyed it. It was fantastic. Being able to see them again, it's one of those things where it's not going to happen as often, obviously, because of graduation and what we're doing now. But, hey, it was nice to catch up with everyone for a weekend. And then, obviously, last night going up to AC, which was fantastic as well. Great experience. Loved it. I recommend for people who haven't gone. But yeah, overall great weekend. And since I didn't do anything yesterday, a lot of the news today has been huge. So it seems like I timed everything perfectly. Obviously we have a lot on our plate tonight, starting with the results of the biogenesis investigation that Major League Baseball was going for the last year or so. And a lot of it, the suspensions came down today, and 13 players were suspended, including Alex Rodriguez, in which they gave up their right for appeals. Obviously, the big name is A-Rod, but there are other big names as well to this. A-Rod's actually going to be playing tonight, and I'll tell you a little bit more why in a minute. He's actually going to be playing about 10 minutes. They're in Chicago to play the White Sox a couple games. The other big names in this, obviously, Nelson Cruz of the Texas Rangers. That's going to be huge for the Rangers because their offense hasn't been as great, and he's been the guy keeping it afloat. And the fact that he's gone now is huge. Obviously, Cabrera was the other big name, Melky Cabrera. That was the other big name. He was already suspended once. He's going to be suspended again. And Johnny Peralta. But the Tigers have already solved that issue by in a trade getting Jose Iglesias from the Red Sox last week because they knew that Peralta was going to get suspended. And so he's not Iglesias isn't a guy with big numbers, but he's a guy that plays well defensively. So that's going to be huge. And the Tigers' defense was a big question going into the playoffs anyway. So we'll see what happens with that. Other names on this biogenesis list, a lot of them are pretty insignificant. Antonio Bastardo, the Phillies reliever, Francisco Cervelli, the Yankees catcher, who's already in the DL anyway, Jordani Valdespin, a Mets outfielder who's in the minors, Jesus Montero, who's in the minors, and a lot of just players that really are irrelevant for the most part. They're not really names that you would recognize if you are just a casual baseball fan. But obviously the big name is Alex Rodriguez. Now, Major League Baseball came down hard on Alex Rodriguez, suspending him for the rest of this season and the end of and all of next year as well, all of 2014. Now, A-Rod appealed his suspension, which is why he's going to play tonight. He's in the Yankees lineup. He's batting cleanup behind Robinson Cano. He's playing third. It's interesting, honestly. With the amount that baseball has, what they think they have, or maybe they do. Maybe they have everything. Maybe they have the things that they need to bust this guy. A lot of articles this week have just been about Alex Rodriguez. He's already been suspended once, or not suspended. He came out because of the report a couple years ago that back in 2003 he was using, and now he's using again. The big question that people have now is whether or not his career is a hoax. It has to be in a question now. When he came into the league, he was a young guy, good-looking guy, lighting it up, and everyone said that this guy is going to be the guy that breaks the home run records. Is going to be great for baseball. He's going to be the face of baseball for the next 10, 15 years. And the last 5 years, he's been on a huge decline. And now we're at the point where no one likes him. Let's be honest. I mean, the New York fans have never liked him. Maybe playing games on the road in Chicago, maybe his first start in Chicago, was probably a good idea. Because I'm sure if he was playing tonight in New York, it won't be a good thing, more than likely. To be honest, it amazes me how a guy, again, with so much promise. I mean, this guy, coming out of high school, was the top prospect. And, again, he signed these big contracts. And, yeah, he's supposed to be the face of baseball right now. He's probably the guy that's supposed to be breaking these records. And now we're seeing him, and he's a shadow of his former self, and he just looks so... I want to say pathetic's too strong of a word, but it's just sad. It's really sad how far this guy has gone to try to stay at top of the game, where I guess maybe if he's not using right now, he looks terrible. No one really judges minor league starts. I mean, it's just to get the swing of things, just to get a good feel for the bat, get your posture, get your motion. But I mean, he's looked terrible in minor league games. I mean, I don't know. I mean, obviously the production at third base hasn't been what it usually is, because usually A-Rod's in that position. But because he's been out, several players have tried to fill that position, and with really little to no success. Now with A-Rod back, will he be able to do anything? I don't know. I mean, we haven't seen him all year, and he had a horrible postseason last year. It remains to be seen, but it honestly does amaze me. I mean, I don't know why he would appeal. I mean, he must have the best lawyers that money can buy. I mean, obviously he's getting so much money off these contracts. But it does amaze me how far this guy's willing to go to stay in the game. Now, he did appeal, so I am sure that Bud Selig and Major League Baseball are just going to throw the book at this guy. You have to think that. I mean, I don't know what else they can do. Everyone's comparing him a lot to Pete Rose and how, I guess, how he left the game. And what's worse, gambling or PEDs? I mean, a lot of people do feel strongly that they're the same thing, but honestly, the way things are looking right now, PEDs are terrible for the game. There's no question. Everyone's saying, oh yeah, it's all about the numbers, like, a 9-8 game would be great. Yeah, that's fine. But baseball is the only sport that it's numbers based. That your Hall of Fame career, the best players to ever play the game, are judged by numbers. In the NBA, you're judged by the championships. And in the NFL, you're judged by championships. In baseball, a lot of it's individual. I mean, you could play for a team that doesn't make the playoffs your whole career, but if you're a 300 hitter, hit 500 home runs, you're more than likely in the Hall of Fame. And again, A-Rod was supposed to be the guy to break all the records clean. It was supposed to be great for the game. And, I'm looking at this cover of the most recent Sports Illustrated issue, and wow, it does amaze me. The end is terrible, honestly. With so much coming in the league, with so much promise, and I mean, if all these allegations are true, and the way Major League Baseball is going to work this, I mean, he's pretty much going to be done. He's fighting for a career that really, it's at its end. I mean, if I were A-Rod, I would have taken the 2 years, come back at 40, and I mean, if you can't play, you can't play, and you still get roughly $60 million left. That's left on your contract. it's not a bad deal for a guy that already has so much money off the contracts that he got from the Rangers and the Yankees. It does amaze me, really. I don't really know what else they can do. I mean, honestly, the Yankees are just sick of this, I'm sure. It's already been a season that is pretty much a lost season right now. I mean, the way things are looking, at the page just flipped to August, and looking at the standings right now, I mean, they're 9.5 back of Boston. I don't know what the Yankees can do. I mean, maybe if Granderson gets back, Jeter just went back on the DL. It's tough. It's just one of those seasons where the Yankees cannot heal at the right time. They cannot have the players that they want on the field. And on top of that, you have a distraction in A-Rod. It's tough. No doubt. I mean, I'm sure right now A-Rod's looking out in Chicago. I get a play. But honestly, I really do not see how much longer this guy's going to play. Because, like I said, Major League Baseball, I feel that they have more than enough evidence to bust this guy and to ban him from baseball for life. And that's a tragic ending for a guy that, again, had so much promise. That's really all I have to say about that. I mean, it's an ongoing issue that's been... We were waiting for the results, and we knew that this was going to happen, so let's see where it goes from here. All right, moving on to a lighter note. Looking at the standings right now, it's pretty insane how it is. Starting in the American League right now, the Boston Red Sox, as of right now, have the best record in baseball. At 68-45, one game up on Tampa Bay. Baltimore 6.5 back. The Yankees, again, like I said, 9.5 back. It's going to be very tough for the Yankees to come back. I mean, it's already a tight division as is, with Boston and Tampa Bay pretty much exchanging first place every other day, it seems. Moving on to the Central, you have Detroit starting to pull away a little bit. Winners of 8 in a row, 9 out of their last 10 games. Cleveland, they're still pretty good, pretty hot. 9 out of their last 10 games, they've come out on top. But it's pretty tough. I think they do have to win the Central because Tampa Bay or Boston's more than likely going to grab one of those wild card spots. And then in the West, you have Oakland, who's still doing really well. I mean, they're playing 500 ball the last 10 games, but they're still two and a half games up on Texas. And they just lost Nelson Cruz, so I don't know how much their offense is going to be, how it's going to help out, really. I mean, Oakland so far this season has scored 11 more runs than Texas. And other than Cespedes, really, and Coco Crisp, I think, name 3 more guys that are in the starting lineup for the Oakland Athletics. You really can't. And the aging wonder, Bartolo Colon, at age 40. Oh, man, how great he has been. Although he's been busted for PEDs before, so I don't know, really. Again, it's all speculation, not really saying anything more. And then the Angels have obviously been so disappointing right now. I mean, it's 12.5 back of Oakland, not the season that they were expecting this year. Moving on to the National League, you have Atlanta, just winners of 10 games in a row. Unbelievable. Washington, just, again, disappointing. Very disappointing. They were the team that was a favorite to win the World Series in the eyes of many people. And maybe they blew their opportunity by shutting down Strasburg last year. I mean, you play with fate, and the baseball gods, they're not going to be happy. And clearly it's not been working. I mean, they've been okay their last 10 games, winning 6 of them. But they're under 500, 12.5 back of Atlanta. I mean, they could get that second wild card spot, but it's going to be really tough. With St. Louis and Cincinnati more than likely going to nab those, potentially Arizona. So it's insane. In the Central, you have the Pittsburgh